Okay guys, this is Jeff of Jeff and Ben's Outdoors channel, and today I'm going to make a video of how I made my wood for my United States flag. Also, we're going to make some crosses, and what I did was I didn't go to the hardware store or to the lumber yard to buy some lumber. I've got this old barn wood that I've stored up, and got plenty more where I got that stacked up in another place. But what I made that flag out of was this old barn wood, and I run it through a planer and run it through my table saw, and this wood was free to me, and I've got plenty here to make a lot of flags and a lot of crosses. But this is that lumber right here, these first two stacks, this one and this one. This is that black walnut that I cut on my sawmill. I've got it out here to dry. I'm just going to let it dry in the stack. And, but anyway, just these two pieces right here I can make two nice little crosses out of. And we're going to do that. We're going to show you how I do that. I'm going to make mine different than any other that I saw. I'm going to make mine 2 foot by 14, 24 inches by 14. And I'm going to make it 4 inches wide. Rip this down after I get it plain. And that way I can make my stripes 1 inch. So it's going to be 2 foot by 14 inches. And I may do the American flag on one of them, and I may just do one that I'm going to heat with a torch and burn the wood. And we'll just see. After I get a few built, we'll do some investigating and maybe make them in various different ways. But this old lumber don't look like much. It's just old barn lumber, but when you run it through the planer and square it up, it really is pretty wood. And I'll show you that process, and hopefully we'll get the job done. So stick around and watch, see what we do, and maybe you can get some pointers from me. I'm not no pro or no expert, but I'll show you the old country boy way of doing things, and a quick way to do it. Quick and easy. That's the way we like it, quick and easy. One thing you definitely want to make sure of is that there's no nails in your wood. A nail will really mess up your knives on your planer and your table saw, mess up your blades. So try your best to get all the nails out. Look it over once, twice, 3 times if you have to. And at best, you still might get one, so be careful, very careful. folks, what I did was I found the center of my cross piece, and then I found the center of my upright and line the two marks up, and that lets me know that these are the same distance. Now you can determine where you want this to go, which I want mine about right there. Next thing we need to do is get a square and square it up. And once you get it square, I'm gonna mark it. I'm gonna double check. Make a mark there. Make a mark there. What you want to do is try to sandwich these two pieces and not let them move. Make a mark here and a mark there. Okay folks, I wanted to do a recap on what I've done already. I didn't take the time to say what I was doing, and that's my fault. But anyway, I'm going to do a quick recap of what I did. I planed this old barn lumber down to this thickness right here, and I cut this upright 24 inches, and this cross piece is 14. Well, what I did was, after I got it planed down and got it to the size that I wanted it, I found the center of this board. It doesn't matter what size board you start out with. If you'll find the center, take your tape measure, find the center, make you a mark in the location, and you can make the mark as long as you want it. But in the location that you want it in general. Same thing with this board. You want to find the center of the board. Once you find the center, you mark the two centers up. You have a line right here. There was my center on that side. You have a line there and a line here, and you line those two marks up, and that's going to be your center. Then you put a square on it. Make sure it's square. And then you hold the two pieces together and make your marks. Flip it over and make your marks on the back. If you're using a table saw, which I did, you see what you end up with. You can spend as much time and get the biggest amount of wood out, or you might leave a piece like this right here. That's what your chisel's for. Take a chisel and clean that up. But to find the center this way, so that when you put your two pieces together, they'll be flush. What I did, now they make a tool that you can, it's got a pin on this side and a pin on that side. You can get them just about anywhere. And when you bring that wood around like that, there's a little needle. In some cases, there's a pencil. And once those two pieces come together and that pencil's lined up right here, you can scroll you a line and get your center. But here's the thing. No matter how you make that mark, you got to keep in mind that that blade is not going to be perfect. No matter how you adjust it, you're not going to be able to get that mark, because the thickness of that mark can mean the difference in it sticking up a little bit or being too deep. So what I like to do is I like to get a scrap piece like I showed earlier in the video. I like to take a scrap piece of wood. I'll lay it down to where my blade is on my saw. First, I find what I think is the center with a tape measure, get it as close as I can, and then lay it down and run my blade up to what I think is the center. Sometimes it'll be off a little bit. So I'll run it up, and I'll cut a line, I'll cut a groove out in the wood, say on this side. And then I'll flip it over and I'll run a groove on this side and see how the grooves line up with each other. And if they're real close with the naked eye, then you can take and go below the groove that you think is right and center, and you can cut that board, that scrap piece right in two. And it'll just barely cut it. Where it cuts it in two. That's where you want it at. You don't want where you have to work it and break it, and you don't want it where it just cuts it right in two so easy. You want it to where there's just a thin piece. You can actually watch it when you're looking down, see it cut. And that's how you get it perfect. Okay, it's time to take some material out. Pretty basic and straightforward. Okay, before I go any farther, I'm going to test fit these two. I know we're going to be tight, or maybe even too tight, but I'd rather it be too tight and not go together is to be a big gap in between the two pieces. So I already know it's going to be not fit down in there perfect just yet. All right, folks, about 4 minutes of sanding, 60 grit sandpaper on this pine wood, and we've got it where it needs to go now. I'm not going to put it down just yet because I've not got my glue on it, but I do want it tight. So when I glue it up and put the clamps on it, and that's all I'm going to do is put clamps on it. All right, folks, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these corners off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to measure down 1 inch. Measure down 1 inch. And then take straight edge and mark it. We got all 4 corners, ends marked. So now we'll take it over to the saw and cut it off. All right, folks, what I did was kind of smooth the edges off. 60 grit sandpaper. Just kind of round off the corners, the edges. I like that look too myself. Better. Won't have to be work hard at it. Just run the paper up and down it just a little bit. All right there you have it, folks. Isn't that awesome? Don't that look good? Simple, easy project. Anybody can do it. Put a little sealer on that, some kind of Varathane or varnish. Need to put something to hang it with. Little sawtooth bracket.